Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the June 3rd Rotary meeting. Please silence your cell phones as our Rotarian of the day, Tom Glover, comes up.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. Lord, thank you so much for this club, for all the individuals that are here and all that they do in our community. Father, please lay your healing hands on those who are sick and hurting. Help them recover and bring them back into the fold. Please forgive us for many sins. Lord, bless the hands that prepared this food and the food to nourish my body. In Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. So I'm going to pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. In the four-way test for the things we think, say, or do. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Thank you, Tom. As you sit down, don't forget the blue buckets for Alzheimer's research. What was our last week? I didn't look at the full.
16, no.
Okay. Can we get a match for maybe a couple $10? Okay, Dr. Price? One more? Okay, Ed, thank you.
You put me down there.
Okay, Chris. Thank you. Nelson, we have visitors?
We do, we have three. Go ahead, Jack, kick us off.
Sure. I'm extremely proud to introduce my son, who's son for the week from Memphis. He's a family medicine physician, David Crown.
This is Jason Reiner, and he is in the process of becoming a new member.
This is Dr. Samantha Jenkins. He is our Chief Financial Officer.
Any prayer requests? Okay, Nelson, it's all yours.
All right, draw the wedding ticket here. All right, number is 227-5754. Come on over here, Jim. And 9 gloves, no doubt.
Good draw. Thank you, Nelson.
You bet.
Wendell? Hey. Do some happy dollars?
Yes, fantastic, man. I hope everybody's doing great. And, welcome back. It's just glad to have everybody out and no mask and see people's facial expressions and all that. And, so I'm happy to, talk about a couple things. I want to say, last week at the Eggs and Issues Breakfast, we had a great presentation from Carl about downtown, and it was awesome. And we got a great place to live and great stuff, and we got a great superintendent who will tell us about our school system today. And so life is good. And I'll tell you real quick, I'm gonna put in. There we go. All right, well, 5 o'clock today. I'll tell you something that you don't know, because she never tell you, but my best friend in this room, Susan Allen, was retired at the end of this month. And, hey, how about it, huh? Yeah. She makes everything run at Georgia College. She has been my personal counselor. In fact, I told her, I said, I got a couple things I got to run by. She goes, I'm retired. I said, that phone line's always been ringing. She, and, but she makes things happen, and she has just been my rock, and I appreciate you, Susan, more than you know. And but we're gonna miss her like crazy at the university in about 3 weeks. Anyway, but we're glad, we're excited for you and what's ahead. So anyway, so I told my new best friend Carly over here. I said, she said last time, she said, hey man, I like the way you do that stuff by being positive. I said, oh, call you next time, first time. So Carly, as it turns out, lives in my neighborhood, right? and she came by the other day and was working, and we got talking a little bit. So anyway, so she is here as a visiting professor and ended up staying here in Milledgeville because it's such an awesome place to live. All right, we're glad you're here. So Carl, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Tell me something good you like, and give me a positive, and a little money to go with it.
Have cash today.
$20, wow. Good.
I'm the 2022 Martha Daniel Roof Scholar. State University. I got to the point when I was like, oh, living here, treating that here. And I'm also grand opening on June 18th. Rain, shine, Florian, Mirza, whatever. Dancing Spirit, which is a classical ballet and crazy dance company. And so I'm very, very happy. I think that's really good news. And I love my neighbors and my Rotarian friends here. So it's just been really, really awesome.
Where's the grand opening at? Where's the bill of the place at?
It is at 2930 Heritage Place, Suite 1. So the roller rink is on one side of the street, and across the street is a building that I had the opportunity to lease a piece of it, just a slice.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, follow up, apologize. Follow up. Her husband's Eric with the County.
Eric,
All over the city. Yes. All right. Jim Fay, what we got?
Well, I'd just like to contribute to Susan Allen giving a cell phone of the challenge.
I'd watch Big Step anytime. Yes. Thank you.
I only have a one, I'll owe it, and I owe you for 19 more, but my oldest graduated from high school.
Hey.
Always good to have you. Yeah, just, all my kids are home this week. So.
Yes. Boy, you want the laundry. Good.
I've been gone for 2.5 months. I'm glad to be back.
Who else got anything over here? Anything positive on this side? Nobody. You always come through for it. Hey, Johnny, put it. You can put it there. Jeff got something. What we got?
We were empty nesters for 6 years, and then one daughter came back, teaches 3rd grade at CMC, and now the other one and her GBI husband are coming to Milledgeville, transferring from Brunswick.
Nice. That is good.
We'll have all of them back in town.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah, yeah. And we got a great place to live. We got great stuff. We got great people in this room, in this community. And I appreciate being a part of it. And happy Thursday. All righty. Thank you, everybody. Yes.
Thank you, Wendell. Dave. PowerPoint up. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Noris Price, Superintendent of Baldwin Schools. I've known her since the very time I came to Milledgeville. She convinced me to come to Georgia College.
I had the chance to be on the interviewing committee that chose him up to the position, so great partnership. But thank you. And I have Samantha Jenkins, who's going to tag team with me, Chief Financial Officer, to do the presentation today. So. There we go. Okay. So it's good to be back. I think I've only been here one other time since we had to shut down in March. This is my second time back. I've been joining you online. And there are a lot of new faces that I hadn't met. So I'm excited to return back. We don't have to wear masks, and that we're hopefully heading to some type of normalcy, but I don't know. I don't think we will ever go back to what used to be normal. But I am glad that I have the opportunity. I don't know if I'm working this right. I'm working now. Oh, let me go back here. Okay. Oh, it's the share application. No. See if I can I do it down here? Yeah, I'm just gonna have to navigate it from here, so that's fine. But anyway, today I am sharing with you our budget for FY22. I do this every year because I want to know how your tax dollars, if you live in Baldwin County, go to support the public school system. And I always say that strong public schools means that we're going to have a strong workforce and we're going to possibly impact the economic development of this community. So with that, I want to start with the first slide, and I always want to start with the vision and mission of our school district. And our mission is that we collaborate with families in the community because we want to educate our students to graduate college and career ready so that they can be contributing members, not only of our local community, but the world. And our vision is to empower them to achieve to their maximum potential so they can have lifelong success. We have a guiding principle with our budget, and that is that it must support our strategic plan. And our strategic plan has 3 focus areas. Those are the 3 focus areas: to increase student achievement, to increase school and community partnerships, the Rotary Club being one of those partners, and to recruit and retain high-performing staff. That drives our budget process, and our strategic plan is at the forefront. We also use what we call zero-based budgeting. That means that every principal and every department head comes and meet with the 2 of us, and they literally have to justify every line item that they're asking for the next year. So it doesn't mean automatically that you're going to get something, you have to justify it. And again, the budget has to align to our strategic plan and reflect an investment in our students. So today we're just going to give you a very quick overview of our budgets, the actual revenues, our fund balance, our estimated budgeted revenues, our estimated budgeted expenses, and then the money that we have gotten through CARES Act 1 and 2 and the American Rescue Plan, which is the stimulus money. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jenkins.
Okay, so this is our historical budgeted revenues to our actual revenues, and as you can see, the historical budget is lower than actual, so we brought in more than we budgeted.
And we like to explain that we have gone after grants very aggressively, so those grants have helped us not to spend what we have budgeted because we're able to use those grant funds for some of our expenses. And over the course of the last 6 years, we have brought in over $10 million.
And this is our budgeted expenses versus our actual expenses. So our budgeted expenses come in higher than our actual for the same reason. We can use the grant money to spend on those.
And you will see that the stimulus money is going to have the same impact on our budget.
Okay, and this slide shows our actual revenues to our actual expenses. And you want your actual revenues to be lower than your expenses so that you can add to your fund balance. And that's what we've been able to do in the past.
And we don't have, we haven't closed our books for FY21, so that's why you have a question mark there.
Okay, our board has charged us with keeping a 25% reserve in our fund balance. That's 25% of our budgeted expenses. So for FY21, our 25% reserve was 11.7 million, and that's the blue line that you see on that screen. As of March, our fund balance was $24.7 million.
So the fund balance is like your savings account. If you have an emergency, if you have a rainy day, if the economy takes a downturn, you have a pot of money that you can use to then continue to operate the school district.
Okay, and this is our general fund revenue sources. We have local, state, and other. We are budgeting that we'll have a total of 42.6 million. 57% of that comes from the state with our QBE revenue at 24.3 million. Other, and that is our title ad valorem and our intangible tax. We're budgeting 1.7 million, and local is the ad valorem tax, tuition, that sort of thing. We are projecting to keep our millage rate the same, and that will give us 16.7 million at 15.63 mills. And this just explains how the millage rate works. If you have a $150,000 home in Baldwin County, you're assessed on 40% of the value, so you only pay taxes on $60,000. And at 15.63 mills, the school will receive $938.
And you would see why we need our local tax dollars in order to provide a high-quality education to our students as we go through our presentation.
Okay, and this is the title ad valorem tax. This is when you purchase equipment, that sort of thing. And we're projecting that we'll have 1.1 million in FY '22.
When you purchase a new car and you pay your taxes, we get a portion of that money.
And this is the QBE, the Quality Basic Education. This is what we receive from the state, and that is only 57% of our revenue. They started keeping a portion of what we earned back, and that's austerity. So for FY '22, the state will keep a little over $1 million, and we'll receive 24.3 million.
And the way that's calculated is based on your enrollment, the number of students that you have, the programs that they're in. There's a very complicated formula that the state uses to determine how much money you get per student and then the total amount that's sent to you. So this is what we get based on our current enrollment in our school district. The question always comes up, where do my tax dollars go? Why am I paying taxes? This is why you're paying taxes. We get 57% of our budget from the state. The rest has to come from our local taxes. So here's an example of, we get from the state $106,000 for nurses. The actual cost in order for us to have a nurse in every single one of our schools is $213,000. The difference is paid out of our local tax dollars. Take the next one. We get $794,000 from the state to transport our kids. The actual cost is $3 million. So we have to have local tax dollars in order to be able to pay that. Otherwise, we would not be able to transport our kids. We have subject specialists, that's your music, your art, your PE, your drama, which, as you know, provides a well-rounded education to our students. So we employ 16.47, that's just a formula that the state uses. We get that, we employ 24, so it actually costs us $1.3 million to fund all of those positions. Otherwise, our students would not be exposed to the arts. Take paraprofessionals. We get 55 paraprofessionals that are funded by the state. We actually hire 75 paraprofessionals. That's an additional $2 million that we have to pay. That's, again, our local tax dollars. So that just gives you an example. I'm not going to take you through all of them. I have another slide. But when you're wondering why, this is why. Because otherwise, you're providing a bare education to our kids, and you cannot provide the services that are needed for our children. Here's another example. I'm going to take you down to the last two bullets. Behavior specialists. We have children that come to us with challenging behaviors and need additional support to get those behaviors under control. So the board has approved our behavior specialists and behavior interventionists. The state does not fund any of those positions. We believe that they're important. We have to educate those students. They're in our schools. So that cost is $322,000 that comes out of our local tax dollars. And then look at what it costs to maintain our facilities. The state gives us a little bit over $1 million, but the actual cost is over $3 million to maintain all of our facilities. So that comes out of our local tax dollars.
And this slide is just another way of looking at our revenue that shows that we are budgeting 42.6 million for FY '22. Okay, this is our proposed budget for expenses. This is not adding anything. This is exactly what we had last year. There are no additional positions. The only reason for the increase is our teacher retirement system percentage went up this year. And we also have longevity where people who've been there longer, they receive a little more. So we are projecting to receive the 42.6 million in revenue, but our expenses will be 48.1 million. That's going to require us to take over $5 million out of that fund balance or our savings account.
So when you look at that fund balance of $24 million and you look at this budget and you start taking $5 million every year, within 4 years, we have no savings account. And you do not want to operate a school district or any business in that manner. But that's what we have had to do in order to maintain what we currently have in place. So you will see in a few minutes how the money that we have gotten through CARES 1 and 2 and the American Rescue Plan is going to help us to actually maintain a healthy fund balance.
Okay, and this is the revenues that Dr. Price was referring to, CARES Act 1, 2, and the American Rescue Plan. We will receive 28.2 million in total. And as you can see, CARES Act 1 was open to the private schools, and we only had one that chose to participate, and that's that negative 139,000 and negative 13,000 that came out of our original revenue.
And then moving forward, private schools will be able to apply directly to the state and access the stimulus funds. But for the first CARE Act, they had to go through the public school, meet certain requirements that the state had in order to access the money. And then you can also see from there that CARES Act 1, we received 2 million, CARES Act 2, we received 8 million, and then the American Rescue Plan Act, we're receiving 18 million, for a total of 28 million. Yes.
So does the delta go into the fund balance?
Huh?
The delta, that goes in the fund balance, so your fund balance will go to 35 to 40 million dollars, something like that, for a period of time?
We'll show you in a minute what it's going to do to our fund balance. Remember that we talked about what we shared with you with the budget in the negative 5 million, and you know we have to have a balanced budget. The board cannot pass a budget that's not balanced. We still have some needs, and so you will see how the stimulus money is going to help us, and we'll be able to add some back, but it's not as much as you're describing. So what you see here are items. The money that we're getting comes with stipulations and requirements. So you can't just say we're going to spend the money on anything we want to spend it. They're very specific guidelines. The majority of the money needs to be spent on learning loss and supporting children that are struggling academically. When we started school this year, 60% of our kids decided to learn from home. Their parents chose for them to learn from home. That's a large percentage of kids learning from home. Many of those students struggled at home. In January, we had a group of students come back. We gave them an opportunity every 9 weeks to return. In January, we had a large group of students come back, and that number flipped. So we had 60% in person, but 40% still remained at home. So we have 40% of our kids that have not been in school since last March. 40%. There are going to be some huge challenges that we're going to face come August. And we know that that's going to probably last for the next 3 years. We have some test data that we have been able to do, and the data does not look good. It would make you cry when you look at it. So I'm very concerned as a superintendent because, as I said at the beginning, with our mission and our vision, it's about getting kids to graduate, achieve at the maximum potential so they can be successful. And right now, we have a lot of work to do. I just want you to know this pandemic has really had a significant impact on student performance. So on the right-hand side in red, these are some of the items, some of the positions that we're going to be adding in order to support that learning loss. So we're going to bring in additional paraprofessionals so we can reduce the teacher-people ratio within the classroom and provide more small group instruction. The early intervention teachers are teachers that specifically target reading skills and math skills. So we're going to be adding 6 additional teachers at the elementary level. We're going to add multi-tier support system supports. These are specialists that are going to look at interventions that we need to implement, and they're going to be able to monitor the data to let us know what kind of impact we're making on these students. We're going to add attendance clerks at the primary and academies. We have 2 that we're going to add. The middle school and high school already have attendance clerks, 3 additional bus monitors, 6 behavior academic interventionists, a behavior specialist, and a career academy coach for the high school. All of that will come out of our stimulus money. On the left-hand side are items that we're going to be paying with our local funds. So if I were to add these items to our current budget, our budget would go up to $58 million, which we can't do. But because we have this money and we're able to move some items and use it to pay for it, we're able to add the items that are on the left. The governor did not put any pay raises for teachers in his budget. So we are going to pay our teachers in January $1,000 one-time payment. They will not get a pay increase this year, but they'll get $1,000 if they're full-time and $500 if they're part-time. We made some adjustments, as you know, if you are a business owner, and even if you're not. You see all those signs looking for people to hire? Because there are vacancies, we're experiencing the same thing. Bus drivers, school nutrition, custodians. So we have to adjust our pay scale in order to be competitive. We can't operate on paying people $9 an hour. They're not coming to us. So we've made adjustments to this pay scale so that we can be more competitive. So that's what you see there under salary increases. We also are going to hire a chorus teacher for the middle school. They're now sharing between the middle and high school, and that program has grown. We're going to expand our audiovisual program. The high school has an audiovisual teacher. We're going to expand it to the middle school. The film industry in Georgia is $1 billion industry. We want to prepare our students to be first in line for those jobs. We also are going to add an aviation instructor. We have a wonderful regional airport, but there is a significant need to have people go into aviation, especially pilots. And so we are going to start that pathway, and you can see how much that would cost to add an instructor. We also are adding 2 additional sports, bass fishing, flag football, and competitive cheerleading. That's $35,000. And then we're adding a dance and band instructor for the academies, and that's $150,000. So the right side is stimulus, the left side is out of our general fund, and we're able to do that because of the stimulus money. So this just shows you what's one time and what's annual with our stimulus money. And you can see there's money in there for PPE supplies, for the new positions, for summer school. We are going to put some sensory rooms for our special needs students. And that total is $14 million for the first year. And then the second year, you're looking at $11 million out of our CARES Act 1, 2, and ARP. This just shows you what's annual and what's one time. And then this is what our budget looks like.
So this is the proposed tentative budget with the difference, removing the CARES and ARP expenses. The revenue is still 42.9 million. And I'm sorry, 42.6 million, but our expenses have gone down to 42.4 million. That allows us to add 208,000 to our savings account instead of taking 5.4 million from it.
So what you were asking, that's what we would be adding to our fund balance. So because we went ahead and added some additional items.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes.
Your students, it's not their fault that, we had this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids that might not meet the criteria they should be at the end of the school year, do y'all have plans to keep these kids behind in place so they can catch up, or what's the plan?
We will be keeping a lot of kids back, and we just don't have the capacity to do that. So we will keep kids that definitely would benefit from another year. And it's a larger percentage than we've ever had. But if we're able to provide academic support to that child that's struggling, we're going to go ahead and promote them. At the high school level, you can't do that because the high school level is all about credits. And if you didn't earn the credits, you are not going to move on to the next grade level. So you will see that that will also have an impact on our graduation rate because we have kids that just did not pass their courses.
And does that impact the state's distributions, y'all, to the school system? I'm sure that's going to happen, but it seems to me like that is a management concern.
The fact that we're retaining students or the fact that we don't have as many kids graduating does not impact our finances and what we get from the state, because it's truly based on the number of kids that are enrolled in attending school on a daily basis. So this is just another example of our budget.
Okay, so this just shows how it is split between the different functions. So our budget is still 42.4 million. We spend 77% on instructional, 4% maintenance, transportation is 5%, and school admin is 7%. But we spend 86% of our budget on personnel alone. Only
So-
14 is operational.
So when you're looking at cutting, you know, if you had to cut, you're going to cut people, which means you're going to add to the unemployment rate. So that's part of the reason why our board has been very fiscally conservative, and they have directed me to put aside 25%. So if we do have an emergency, we're not laying a whole bunch of people off who would then not have a job.
And this slide just shows the budget for the past 3 years. And as you can see, FY22 is much lower at the 42.4 million. And that's because we're able to allocate some of those expenses to our stimulus money.
And this was just showing you that the board approved the tentative budget on April 13th. We had 2 public hearings that were advertised in the paper and in social media and our website. And then my goal is to recommend to the board on June 8th the approval of the budget. So between now and then, you know, the board is open to getting feedback and any comments that our citizens might have. But I just want you to know that we have been good stewards of taxpayers' dollars. I am very proud of the financial standing that we're at, in that we do not have to worry from one day to the next if we're going to meet payroll or not in our school district. And I commend our board for having that vision and foresight to be able to allow us to have a healthy fund balance. So now we'll open it up for additional questions. Yes.
You mentioned that you had studies showing that kids have suffered during COVID and the data would make us cry. Could you be a little more detailed, specifically what it is you're seeing?
Right. So we have, when we do assessments, we're looking at students. Let me share with you reading, for example, which is critical, right? It drives everything we do. So we have an assessment that tells you which students are at the beginning level, which students are on grade level, and which students are above grade level. So when you look at the percentage of students that are below grade level, that's what makes you cry, because we have gone backwards. We have taken a step backwards. So in 3rd grade, I just looked at the data, and remember, it's data. So we haven't really gone deep into it. It's an average. So we really have to look at individual kids. But that average today is showing us that 60% of our 3rd graders are not reading on grade level. Do you not want to cry? Absolutely, because that's not acceptable. However, we haven't gone into the individual kids to say, okay, well, how close were they to that on grade level? Or how far away are they from grade level? And that makes a difference, because I could have gotten, my score could have been 2 points lower than that on grade level score. So with a little more support, I can get you on grade level. But if I'm 100 points away from where I needed to be, then it's going to take a lot more work for us to get you to that grade level state.
How about math skills?
The math skills are a little better. It was about 45% that were below, but still not anything, you know, to brag about. But what I have to keep in mind is we were in the middle of a global pandemic, and we still are, you know what I mean? So you can't expect the same level of performance prior to, but it is a concern because you got to look at the future, right? And if we don't get these kids up to speed, it's going to impact their ability to graduate from high school and then be productive, right? So we got to do everything in our power next year to get these kids to where they need to be. And it's not going to be easy, I can tell you that, but it has to be a community effort. It can't just be the school district alone. So we need those tutors, we need those volunteers to help us to provide that additional academic support for our kids. If a child has the support at home, they're going to be okay. It's those children that do not, that is going to be an uphill battle for us. Yes, sir.
Obviously, we've got a little bit of time before the middle school year in August. Are there any programs ongoing over the summer to try to help, particularly the ones that are in?
Yes. We closed school a week ago, and next week we start summer school. So we will be running a summer program for 4 weeks. from 8 to 3 o'clock with very intense instruction, but we're using a STEM STEAM approach to do that. So we're going to be teaching math and reading skills, but they won't know that they're really learning those math and reading skills because we're going to use the STEM approach to teach through that lens. So we do have that, and they will be in school all day. Now, the number of kids that need to come, we're not getting all those kids that need to be in school. You still have parents that are concerned about kids coming to school and, you know, being in person. So we're doing the best we can, but we do have the summer school. And we having summer school programs starting with pre-K. So we're doing it at pre-K level all the way through 12. And then we start school back up again the first week in August. So we've closed one school and start planning for the next.
The kids you got that aren't grade level now, compared to before pandemic,
Mhm.
how does that rate? And what was the main contributing factor that got them below grade?
Well, below grade level, the pandemic. I mean, we had so many kids learning from home who were not really focused on learning. Although the teachers were doing an incredible job of online learning. And then also trying to teach like reading, think about teaching kindergartners reading through a computer. That is extremely challenging, but our teachers did a good job. Prior to that, I would say it was the reverse. Instead of 60%, it was about 30% of our kids that were now reading on grade level.
30%.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
The not learning at home, would that be a factor of the parents who weren't happy or doing their part?
Well, let me tell you what happened with a number of our families. The parents were working and the children were either with a babysitter or they were with grandparents that had no clue how to navigate an online world whatsoever. So those were huge challenges, you know, that we encountered. The other thing that I didn't mention is we have a group of kids that have literally disappeared. We don't know where they are. They haven't shown up in another school district. They're not living where they're supposed to be living. We don't know where they've gone. So we have another group of children that we've got to figure out, where did they go? You know, what happened? Now, that's not unique to Baldwin County. That's across the state of Georgia. Every school district experienced a group of children that just disappeared. And we don't know, did they move out of state? Did they move to another community? So we had about 500 kids that have just disappeared from our community. Yeah, and you worry, right? Because you don't know what's happening with those children. So I can't tell you the challenges that COVID has presented to us. It has been an extremely challenging year, extremely hard, extremely stressful, but we continue to move forward and our educators have been amazing. Our educators in the community have been amazing, you know, not just in the Baldwin County School District, but it has been a very, very difficult school year.
Is you able to compel in-person attendance starting next school year, or is it the option still to stay at home? I mean, you should compel everybody to come to school.
Great question. We are strongly encouraging all of our parents to send their kids to school so they can have in-person instruction. I'm happy to say we still have a couple, well, not a couple, we still have about 1,000 families that have not completed the intent to return form to the Baldwin County School District. But of those that have completed the form, only 145 have indicated that they will continue the online learning. So that's a huge improvement from what we dealt with this past school year. Those parents, when asked why, it's because they said that they don't feel their children are safe, there's not a vaccine available, and so they're not comfortable with sending their kids to school. And we can't mandate it because of that reason. So that's where we are. But 145 I can live with if the rest of them are in school in person. Yes.
So you got a certain amount of dollars from the Secures Act, but I see that your budgeted expenses are going up. Have y'all mapped out the next 5 years?
Okay, so yes, So the CARES Act money is for the next 2 years. So we know that for the next 2 years, we are good. Those positions that we added, when we posted those jobs, we said this is a 2-year position. So at the end of 2 years, there's no guarantee that you will have a job. Because of the very same reason that you just said. When that money goes away, we're gonna have to dip into our fund balance in order to balance the budget. And so when you project it out, we projected that we will be okay for the next 5 years after the stimulus money. And then we will be in trouble if we don't get additional funding.
So what you're really saying is you have 2 years to fix this problem, and it's a problem.
You got it. Unless there's an additional money that after the second year is given to us. But we're given 2 years to fix this problem. When I believe that it's going to take us longer than that, but we're going to give it our all.
Has the census data become available to the county and the school system?
The census data, I believe it's available. I have not gotten the report from the recent census. So I know that I talked to someone who said, I asked them for the report and they were going to email it to me. So I haven't analyzed the census data from the recent census.
So we don't know where the county census has increased or stayed from the 10 years before.
I do not know. No.
What report is it? I think we have Baldwin County losing population.
Okay, and I missed that as well. But if you think about that and then you compare that to the number of kids that have disappeared, that makes sense, right? So,
If it happens in every county, where do they go?
that's it. And we won't know until school starts in August, because everybody's requiring them to come back in person. So if a student had shown up in another school district, when they go and register, that school district is going to contact us because they have to request the records, and then we'll know where that child has gone. So, yes.
This is specifically in regards to those that have actually told that have conveyed that they are still concerned because of vaccinations. I know that vaccination has been approved by the FDA for 12 of them, and they're currently working on the 5. Obviously,
Right. Right.
will the adjustments be made if and when that approved?
Well, right now we're pushing to get as many of our kids vaccinated. We had an event 2 weeks ago, and we had 100 students. We have close to 5,000, and in the grades 6 through 12, we have a total of 2,400. So 100 kids, that's not a lot. So we have partnered with Navison Health to have a vaccination event every Friday for our families and our employees to get vaccinated. So hopefully that will increase. I saw a question.
I'm going to share something with the team here. When you look at the budget, you're always looking at full-time employees that you're willing to pay this money out of the budget. What I want to share with people is I have a granddaughter who stayed with me doing this school. She was in 3rd grade, and she came to stay with her grandpa for a reason. She had problems in school. You got a teacher out there at Midway Academy, Miss Steven. They got that lady, my granddaughter, to an A.B. scholarship. So it shows that by investing in the community, investing in these teachers, that you can take someone that's not achieving the goal and get them to basically surpass the goal. And that was remarkable. That was amazing. I never seen Miss Hills except through the app,
Right.
but her communication, her continuous progression with her and interaction with my granddaughter was amazing. I basically want you to know that as a superintendent, I believe this club is behind it. I know the community is behind it. But these kids absolutely need what you are bringing to them.
Right.
As much support as possible.
Right.
And what you know about that teacher.
Right. Thank you. Right. I tell you, our educators have been amazing in what they've been able to do. That's right.
When some people did not even want to go into buildings to work.
That's right.
You got some teachers that willing to go out there and deal with other people's children to get them from point A to point B. And I'm gonna tell you, they got my grade on that. That's amazing.
That's it. And the other thing I'm glad you mentioned that is that our teachers were in school at the end of July when we were a significant spread for the virus. And so we were all risking our lives for our children in this community. And we were able to keep our employees safe. We had very few cases. We never had to shut down any of our buildings and send large groups of kids home. So I am very thankful for the work that has been done this year, and I appreciate your comments. Make sure that Ms. Seals also hears those comments that you just shared with me. But you also made a very good point that I want to reiterate is that the education of the children in this community is the responsibility of all of us. All of us. We all have a vested interest in the success of our children because it has a direct impact on the economic development of this community. So whether you like it or not, you are part of the work that we're doing. So I think I am over time here, so I just want to say thank you. I'll hang around if you have any questions, but I just want you to know that your tax dollars are making a difference. So when you get that tax bill, think about our children and the impact that you're having. So whether you have children in our school district or not, you are making a difference. So thank you.
Okay, next week, Matt Davis is going to provide an update on Andalusia, and we're also going to do a big induction ceremony for all our newer members. Let's see, David, Jason, and Samantha, thank you for visiting. Hope you come back again. Any other announcements? Okay, we are adjourned.